As a CEO, are you facing the challenge of getting your executive team truly aligned? In my recent videos, the number one reason growth stalls, what's the role of an effective CEO, and a great book on your true CEO role, I discussed the critical CEO role of developing a team of leaders to help lead the company to grow profitably, predictably, and sustainably. One of the great challenges in doing that is getting that executive team on the same page and going in the same direction. The answer lies not in laying out a plan for the team, but rather involving the team in creating a plan. As the saying goes, people support what they help to create. The leaders on your team need to not only support, but also help drive the desired results and the changes needed to help get there. There are several critical elements to getting and keeping your executive team aligned. A one-page strategic plan, annual and quarterly planning, individual roles and expectations, and efficient executive team buy-in. Let's discuss each one. Number one, a one-page strategic plan. One problem with getting an executive team on the same page is that there needs to be a page to get on. There needs to be a plan, and that plan needs to be written down. Having planning discussions and keeping things in our heads only leads to misalignment. When we put plans on paper, misunderstandings and disconnects become obvious and can be addressed. Another problem is that when teams do put plans down on paper, they are often too long or they're spread across multiple documents. This leads to the all too common problem of SPOTS, strategic plan on top shelf. No one refers back to it and it disappears, never to be seen again. A third problem is a lack of a framework and consistent language and definitions. When one person uses the term targets and another person talks about goals, are they talking about the same thing? This often leads to confusion and vagueness, resulting in misalignment. A solution to these three problems is a one-page strategic plan. Verne Harnish, speaker, trainer, and CEO of Scaling Up, formerly Gazelles, which I was trained by, first introduced the one-page strategic plan format in his popular book, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. The one-page strategic plan is just that, one page. It includes brief statements capturing the company's philosophy, including, for example, values, purpose, vision, its strategy, three-year plan, as well as 1-year and quarterly plans, including specific numerical targets and priorities for change and improvement. Each component of the OPSP has consistent language and clear definitions. It's reviewed and updated at least quarterly to make adjustments and add the next quarter's 90-day plan. Having the plan all on one page means it's quick and easy to review, reference, and update. Its brevity forces executive teams to get really clear and aligned about each of their decisions. Number two, annual and quarterly planning. So how can an executive team work together to come up with a one-page plan that they are all aligned on? A disciplined rhythm of executive team annual and quarterly planning has become the standard for the best small to mid-sized companies. This rhythm ensures that an executive team adjusts its competitive strategy annually and agrees on its goals and top priorities for the coming year, while also breaking down the execution of the annual plan into more specific and manageable quarterly plans. The quarterly planning approach also gives the team the flexibility to adjust their plans as they learn through action what works and what doesn't. It also allows them to adjust course as the market and organization evolves. An annual and quarterly planning rhythm is made a lot easier to organize and run when you have a seasoned executive team coach. Number three, individual roles and expectations. It's one thing to come up with a plan that the executive team is aligned on. It's another to be aligned on how they're going to make that happen. Who will do what depends on what each leader's role is. All too often, role disconnects or confusion create misalignment around who should tackle what part of the company's plan. The greater misalignment comes in how each leader runs their own area. When leaders on an executive team aren't all on the same page about their respective roles and accountabilities, there can be duplication of effort, mixed messages to the organization, leaders being stretched thin, and/or critical work not getting done. As well, if leaders aren't clear on what's expected of them and their peers, standards and targets may not be met by certain areas, which can then affect other areas' ability to deliver. Furthermore, when expectations about leadership and management practices aren't clear and aligned across the executive team, it creates misalignment across the organization as a whole. Their team members will have widely varying experience as employees. The level of understanding of goals and priorities for the company in different areas will result in teams working at cross purposes with each other, if not outright competing. The solution has three parts: clarifying roles, results, and expectations. First, clarify what executive team level functions are needed in the company and which executive team leader will be accountable for each. We use what's called a functional accountability chart, or FACE, to clear this up. Second, define visually what each function is accountable to produce and what other function or functions they produce it for. This creates what we call a key function flow map, which shows how business comes into the company and flows from one function to the next until money shows up in the bank account. This gets the executive team aligned around how they need to work with each other to achieve results for the company overall. Third, each leader in the executive team creates their own job scorecard based on the functions they are accountable for and the results they produce in the flow of work, the key function flow map. It includes the purpose of their function, the results, metrics and targets they are to achieve, their responsibilities and authority, and the competencies they need to be successful. We covered the job scorecard in a previous article. Once complete, it's important that the executive team review their functional accountability chart and key function flow map at least once a year, if not more often, to identify any shifts in roles that are needed as the company evolves and grows. As well, any material changes to any job scorecard should be shared with the whole team for awareness. More significant changes may warrant discussing them as a team before finalizing them. 4. Efficient executive team buy-in. Rather than a CEO coming up with a plan and each leader's roles and simply delegating activities to team members, they need to shift to making decisions for the company in collaboration with the members of their executive team. This will enable them and their team members to make decisions they are all committed to. This doesn't mean the CEO doesn't get the final say. It's how they get to a final decision that needs to be adjusted. Patrick Lencioni, in his best-selling book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, called this approach disagree and commit. For each part of the plan and for the roles and expectations of each leader, the executive team discusses the problem or opportunity and gets all the relevant information out on the table for consideration. Options are discussed and weighed. All members of the top team have the opportunity to share their perspective and concerns. If an agreement is easily made as a team, then great. If not, the CEO makes the final decision, with everyone knowing their perspective has been heard and considered, and agreeing that now is the time to commit to the final decision. This approach allows for effective executive team participation and buy-in while keeping it efficient. This can be a game changer for CEOs who have already shifted to involving their top team in decision-making, but have gone too far, seeking team agreement for every company decision. As a result, decision-making may have slowed to a crawl, or decisions simply don't get made, because they and their leadership team members don't always agree on what's best, and the CEO isn't willing to make a final decision for fear that their leaders won't buy in at all. Disagree and commit solves this problem. As you can see, getting an executive team aligned is not a once and done activity, it's an ongoing system, a set of interconnected processes that ensure the executive team stays aligned about their plans and roles. So where can you get started? First, get familiar with the one-page strategic plan. We'll cover that in our next 5-minute growth tip video. If you're a prayer CEO who wants to grow a thriving company, team, and life more quickly, more easily, and with less stress and headache, please contact me via email or on my website. I hope you found this useful.